All right, so here we go. Another advanced English lesson. I've just finished teaching this lesson, which I created. I created them on Friday. I teach Saturday and Sunday, and I have a couple openings on Saturdays to teach, but Sundays are completely full. And I didn't teach my cat this. This is what I haven't teach. I've heard of how you can teach a cat to use the bathroom or use the toilet by putting a specially designed litter box inside the toilet, and after the cat gets used to using it, you take it out and then they'll use it, and maybe you can teach it to flush as well. But uh we didn't do this. This is Pita, and she just figured it out on her own. Maybe she smelled it and just kind of figured out this would be a good place to go pee and poop. There's been little poops in there too. And our bathrooms are really cool. I designed these when we built this house. Actually, it's like outside. There's open air on top, and took out all the clay and mud when we were building it on this level. It was right on the ground. I extended this old building that was already here, so we dug it all the way to the sand. We're pretty close to sand because there used to be like a riverbed over here, and then I just filled it up with the rocks, so the water just naturally drains down. I really like this. We have a couple bathrooms. The other bathroom is for a big tub, like it's all like half size of the room, which is also the same size as this room. Anyway, I talk a little bit about that and then jump right into world records. And I take the world records and then ask some questions, teach some history or fun facts. This one, Baishan, China, a new Guinness World Record was set when 1,946 individuals simultaneously played with whipping tops at the Songhua River Ecotourism Scenic Area, surpassing the previous record of 1,000 participants. There are some words there, individuals and participants, both referring to people. And the word simultaneous, or in this case, the adverb simultaneously, I'm going to be asking because last week, if you remember, the word was spontaneous. I want to make sure we know what spontaneous means and what simultaneous means. And then, of course, spontaneous, and we learned the noun form, spontaneity, and simultaneous with this adverb simultaneously. We're going to need to know what those mean, but not right now. First, I'll jump into this. Asked him some questions like, I didn't understand. I like to know exactly how these Guinness records are determined, because I know I've seen some of them get canceled because they recorded it and they wanted to see it in person. But I think like what constitutes is just that they're there and they're playing tops. There's something about 5 minutes. That's how long. I don't know if each participant had to have the top spinning for 5 minutes or all at the same time. And if one person wasn't doing it, did they fail, or did that person just not get counted? I don't know. I'd like to find out more, maybe. Actually, I don't really care that much, but I like to challenge my students and ask them questions. What should, or what would you think constitute as breaking this record? So there they are, the words simultaneous and spontaneous. What does it mean? Which one means at the same time, and which one means without planning or suddenly. And they actually are straight up. Simultaneous is at the same time, and spontaneous is without planning or suddenly. If you were with me here last week, remember I talked about how I had peppercorn and then the Thai ginger and basil and chili and garlic put together with stir fried with spaghetti noodles is pat ki mao, which was created spontaneously by, there's a couple different theories and stories about it, but basically somebody just using the ingredients they had. So it's not an accident. There is a difference between accident and something being spontaneous. While spontaneous wasn't planned, it is kind of thought in the moment. It's being present. To be spontaneous, you have to kind of react to a situation in a way that you are actually doing it on purpose. But there was no for planning on that. Simultaneous means at the same time. In this case, simultaneously meaning all the people were playing with their whipping tops, which is those old toys. I'm sure your grandparents played with them, or great grandparents even, wrap a string around it and then pull it and it spins. So there we go. And just to make sure we know these words, I will bring these words up. Let's use them in context, not just the definition. I think we need to know the context. I'll read them, try to say the correct word before I do. Her decision to donate was completely spontaneous, motivated by the emotional video she just watched. The laughter was simultaneous, as everyone understood the joke together. And then I like to change it up. I don't always keep the same patterns in my lessons. Boom, pop quiz. Now remember, my students are Chinese, so it's more likely they're going to know a question like this, although most of them didn't. Baishan is located in which province of China? Now, we know that they were playing on ice. I showed them a video. They were playing on ice. Wenan probably has ice because they have mountains, but they're pretty far south. You wouldn't think of them as being, they're not going to have snow plains, and either would Guangdong, also very far south. So it's going to be one of these provinces. Heilongjiang is the coldest province, probably. That's where Harbin is. Last week I talked about the snow festival, but Jilin is actually the correct answer. Actually, all my students got it wrong. They all thought it was Heilongjiang, probably pronouncing that wrong, but because it is farther north, it is a larger area, and that is where Harbin is, which was famous, and also part of the Baishan mountain range does go there. Talking about the Changbai Mountains, which is not true of these mountains. Again, if you're not Chinese, you're probably less likely to know about this. It is home of the mythical Tianqi monster. It is a significant site for biodiversity in China. If they didn't know diversity, I gave them what diversity means, but we've learned bio many times. A lot of people think bio means animal. It doesn't. Bio means life. Anytime you see biology, is the study of life, study of all life. Trees, eukaryotes and prokaryotes, and bacteria and plants and ferns and mushrooms and all those things that are all part of a life. It's home of the rare Siberian tiger. Of course, Siberia, you think more of the Russian area, but that is where this northern part of China is, or the origin of the Yangtze River, and that is the correct answer, because that is like in the east, or the west to east, but not so far north. And we talk a little bit about the Tianqi monster. Again, this is AI created. That's not what the Tianqi monster necessarily looks like. The Tianqi monster is actually like the Loch Ness monster. This lake right here, it's kind of right on the border of North Korea and China, and it's like a deep lake caused by a meteor. The Changbai Mountains are also known for a specific natural landmark that is one of the deepest lakes in China, if not the deepest lake. The name of the lake is Lake Tianqi. I actually would allow either the English translation, we could call it Heavenly Lake. Sometimes we don't change the name, and you would call it Lake Tianqi. So either of those are correct, but it's also a chance to talk about this Tianqi monster, and then I talk about the Loch Ness monster. It's interesting that there are supposed sites of this same looking creature kind of in these deep lakes, very deep lakes. I don't think anybody has been to the bottom. From what I understand, these animals look like they're not fish because they have these long necks. There's some sort of, and that's what makes it more unbelievable, kind of, because if they have to come up for air, it seems like they would be seen. But if they are an animal that can live deep in the water, maybe they're smaller. I mean, new species are found on a regular basis, but it's usually smaller bugs and insects. Seems pretty difficult for an animal to be surviving in an area like this for a long time without like absolute proof. But hey, I like to keep my imagination open, and the possibility of we just didn't really try hard enough to find it. So the next one, again, I have videos for all these and I showed them. Again, I had a lot of questions about this one. Felix from Germany set a Guinness World Record by drinking a cup of coffee in 3.12 seconds. Do I say 3.12 or 3.12? I better look that up because I'm an English teacher. I didn't say 3.12, but 3.12 doesn't sound completely wrong. 3.12 seconds in Frankfurt barely beating the previous record by 0.05 seconds. His quick chug of the steaming hot coffee was captured in a video. And it was, and I showed the video, but I was a little wary about it. How do we know how hot it is? It wasn't extremely, it didn't look like a lot of steam was coming off of it. We should put a temperature in it. They did it to show how much it was. That was an important thing they need to measure. Then they poured it into a cup, and I think, well, what about the cup? What if there's a thin layer of ice, or if the cup was cold or something, and by pouring it in there, it instantly gets colder, and you're able to drink it. I think there should be more strict measures on it, but maybe again the video could have just been it was like a TikTok video or Instagram cut and made into little clips. Perhaps the actual Guinness judge that was there might have actually been more stringent on those rules. There's some words here. We're gonna see if you can get the correct one. I'm gonna put the correct word in the blank as I read them, so make sure you jump ahead of me and complete them before I do. Felix aimed to break the Guinness World Record by drinking coffee rapidly. He earned the title for the fastest time to drink a cup of coffee. Felix's successful attempt shows him quickly consuming a hot cup of coffee. To win, Felix had to chug the coffee in just over 3 seconds. Some true or false questions. Felix is from Spain. That's false. The previous coffee drinking record was beaten by more than 1 second is false. The coffee was cold to make the chugging easier is false. And a video captured Felix's attempt, which is true. Again, the purpose of this is a little bit fun, recall information, reading comprehension, but also getting some of the vocabulary words, more access to them, seeing them used in context, like the word chugging, to chug, that may or may not be a word you know. I like to say slam too. Slam it, chug it, right? Chugging is when you gulp several gulps, maybe. Chugging may be more than one gulp. Is a gulp. To chug might be something like that. So I like to jump straight to this. I asked about, do you think drinking a cup of coffee in 3.12 seconds could be dangerous? And it could, right? I mean, I've drank some hot coffee, hot tea or something, and I like to drink it like this, kind of suck in some air at the same time, and that's how I drink my tea anyway. Or espresso, all that, talking about that, and then bam, hit them with a pop quiz. Now, they were more familiar with the Chinese geography, of course. Some of them may or may not be as familiar with different parts of the world. So here we go. I don't know about you, but before that, I'm going to ask this again. The answer was not given. This is just based on what you know on a lot of the Guinness World Records that I've been sharing. Which one do you think is an actual record, or in this case, which one is not? So that means 3 of these are. Fastest time to drink a cup of coffee. We just did that. We know that's real. Longest time holding a cup of coffee without drinking it. Most cups of coffee balanced on a person's head. And the largest collection of coffee cup lids. The correct answer is longest time holding a cup of coffee without drinking it. That is not a Guinness World Record, though. I imagine if you wanted to have it, I mean, that last part, without drinking it, is what makes it weird. That wouldn't be the record, but just the longest time holding a coffee cup, it actually makes sense that might be a record, because the records are pretty crazy, right? Most cups of coffee balanced on a person's head. The largest collection of coffee cup lids. You might be thinking, well, just buy a whole bunch of lids. I've worked at a fast food before, and you just get all these lids. But part of the rules would have to be that they are all different. So they like collected them traveling around. Somebody collected coffee lids and had a variety of them, and they were individual. I don't know how many they had. I also saw somebody had the most sock monkeys or something, and they all had to be different. So what is Germany famous for making? Got a lot of them. A lot of people, actually, the first one they said, "Oh, I know it's not hamburger," and then they looked at all of them and they got confused and they weren't able to come up with the answer. We know that tacos are from Mexico, sushi is from Japan, pasta is from Italy. Although, as we talked about before, Marco Polo's adventures in China and kind of learning some things, it is easily a influenced noodles in some form. But the answer, anyway, it doesn't matter. The answer is hamburger. And the city, Hamburg, is in Germany. So I showed them Hamburg, and I explained to them that actually the hamburger, it may or may not have had bread, or the bread would have been on the side. The hamburger, as we know, is definitely something that became popularized in America, but it was the German immigrants who were here, not here, I'm in Thailand, but the German, who I guess they might have been from Hamburg. They brought it with them. It became a hamburger, and I have a little picture of that. And the term hamburger originally comes from Hamburg steak, which was a popular dish among the Germans who migrated to the United States in the 19th century. This dish was essentially a seasoned ground beef patty, which over time evolved into the modern hamburger we know today, served between two slices of bread or a bun. And then I said, then somebody, I don't think, from what I understand, the Germans actually put cheese on it, and it was boom, they put cheese on it, and then they called it a cheeseburger, and that might have been the American invention. And then, of course, somebody said, hey, let's put two patties on here, let's make it a double cheeseburger. And then, of course, crazy vegans like myself said, nah, I don't like this, I'm gonna use a portobello instead, and boom, there's a portobello burger or a veggie burger or whatever you wanted to do. Of course, it has become worldwide, does come from, understandably, Hamburg. At least there's something that can be traced back there. Another question that I did not give the answer to: how many castles does Germany have? Is it over 200 but under 2,000? Over 2,000 but under 20,000? Over 20,000 but under 200,000? Or over 200,000? Questions like this, I usually say the top one is probably the most ridiculous, but it's actually, I saw different answers, but it looked like there's over 20,000 in some people count them. That's a lot. And I think, why? Why would there be so many? And I asked them, why do you think Germany has so many castles, and what purpose did they serve? I let them give a couple answers, and then I give them the answers that I have, which are 6 different answers. And as you can see, these are the title that refers to the description. If they really needed help, I gave them the Chinese, which what that is. There is each one had it. So but oh, that's interesting. I use a different thing. So anyway, but if you don't know the Chinese, anyway, I'd rather not actually give you the Chinese, even if you don't know Chinese. I'm not going to give them to you, but it was there if they needed it. Now this is clues because you want synonyms. You may have been already trying to match them. I'm going to go ahead and do it. We'll start on this side. So we have, also this is for pronunciation. I made, again, my students can't, we're teaching online, so this is perfect. You have to say the number, which is over here, and then tell me which one it goes. I'll read it one time for pronunciation. So if I say, so geographic fragmentation, again, notice the difference between the pronunciation of geography, geographic, just like photography, photographic, or photograph, right? So the intonation changes, the stress on the syllable changes. Geographic fragmentation, residential use, preservation and tourism, strategic defense, symbols of power, administrative hubs. All right, so there we go. And reading these, if you know your synonyms, there's clues, you might get the answers. Castles were tactical, located to defend against invaders, often near key points like river crossings and trade routes. So if you look at that, it makes sense that the word tactical is basically means strategic, and you saw the word defend, so defense. That makes it easy. They represented the wealth and authority of rulers and noble families, showcasing their dominance. Right there, you see represent wealth. That's kind of like a symbol of, that's a symbol of money, but then the second part, showcasing their dominance, that's definitely symbol of power. And castles doubled as homes for royalty and nobility, offering self-contained communities with various amenities. That sounds like residential use. As we know, residential is like homes and living. And then they served as governmental centers for local rulers, facilitating estate management, tax collection, and legal proceedings. Now that, if you know governmental centers, that sounds like administrative hubs. Due to the Holy Roman Empire's division, rulers built castles to safeguard territories and assert control. That definitely sounds like geographic fragmentation. Fragmentation meaning like division, and then territories is like geography there. And the last one is going to be preservation and tourism. And you can see it because many castles and meticulously preserved and restored are meticulously preserved and restored, contributing to Germany's cultural heritage and attracting travelers. So you had preserved and you had travelers there. And the next one, really interesting. Again, a lot of my students know popular Disney films or other fairy tales, and these are all stories that originated from Germany, at least according to some things that I looked up. And some of them make sense. I mean, they sound like German names: Rapunzel, Hansel and Gretel. Those, I don't know, those sound German to me. And then Rumpelstiltskin. And then I go through each of these and talk with them. Most of them know Snow White and Cinderella and Little Red Riding Hood. It's good to know them. They didn't always know the English names. Because they learn these fairy tales in Chinese. They're popular around the world, but they didn't know the name in English. The Frog Prince, Sleeping Beauty, and I always get confused with Sleeping Beauty and Snow White. Isn't Snow White sleeping and a prince had to kiss her to wake her up? And then the same thing with the Sleeping Beauty. I, I didn't. I don't know. I didn't know those are two different stories. I'll have to look into it and find out about that story. And then I asked about this. I don't think this is a Disney film necessarily, but it's like a fable. The Goose and the Golden Egg. Now a lot of these are really dark. I mean, even Rumpelstiltskin is straight up kind of dark, wanting to steal this woman's firstborn child. The wicked stepmother and witch and all these things. A Little Red Riding Hood. I think the original. That's like a Brothers Grimm story. They were really dark, and we talk about like how, I don't know, they're wanting to scare the children to protect them or whatever. We actually went into this. This was a long. I would have them retell me the story as they knew it, and then we would talk about it. Some of them didn't know the golden egg or how it ended. From what I know, or we actually had different discussion. They thought different things happened. I learned it as it was a poor farmers, and a goose just laid the golden egg. They were excited. They sold the golden egg, and they had money, they had wealth, they had happiness. And then the farmer got greedy, and he ended up cutting the goose open to get all the golden eggs. And of course, cuts it open. There are no golden eggs inside. The goose is dead, and they don't have their supply of golden eggs anymore. That's how I learned it. And then we're talking about Germany. And as you can see, I didn't, looks like I didn't erase these ones, little things. I give them two choices. I say either answer the question or identify Germany. So, and again, which of these two countries should, if they know any geography at all, they should be able to eliminate Australia and Brazil. They're not even in the same continent. Portugal and France, okay, they won't know. We talked about it, and I do visit some of the things. We talked about the colonization of Brazil and how Portugal had a strong navy, and they were right there on the Atlantic Ocean. So we know that Portugal is at the tip of Spain, and then I number these off, and this is France, and then so this big one right here is Germany. So the answer to the question is Germany borders France. The answer is France. This one's Germany, and the capital city of Germany, I ask them if they know. Again, by process of elimination, most of them know Paris is the capital of France, and London is the capital of the UK. And they sometimes were broken down to Berlin or Madrid. Madrid is Spain. Berlin is the capital of Germany. And the Berlin Wall, I talk a little bit about that. We read this, no questions. Let me just read it for you. The Berlin Wall, erected in 1961, served as a physical and ideological barrier between East and West Berlin during the Cold War. Its primary purpose was to its primary purpose was to prevent the mass exodus of East Germans to the more prosperous West. It was a symbol of the division between the communist Eastern Bloc, led by the Soviet Union, and the capitalist Western Bloc, led by the United States. The wall represented the political and ideological tensions of the era, with guards stationed to prevent unauthorized crossings, and it stood until its fall in 1989, signifying the reunification of Germany and the end of the Cold War. And then I kind of went into, based on the level of my students' knowledge on global events, kind of explained or asked or talked about how this refers to the war in Ukraine and how there, there was we had a line here and the Soviet influence went until here. And then after the wall came down, NATO kind of expanded over here. Ukraine was in the middle, kind of this buffer zone. And now there's probably going to be a re-slicing and re-bordering and uh, that it's the same way in China along the Indian border across the Himalayas and uh, where these arbitrary lines are going to be drawn if anything has to be drawn at all, which it seems that we tend to want to draw a line, and obviously Russia doesn't want it too close to their capital, and which is the German flag. And I do notice that we talked about Germany as a country, and the adjective to describe something is German, German language, German food, German flag. And this one is the German flag, but I put the country under the flag. So these are country names. We have Romania, Romanian, Switzerland or Swiss, Denmark or Danish, actually, when you use the adjective. And then the next one, it was a video of an alligator that pokes his nose out of the water before or after while it was freezing, and it's in hibernation. Those are the two questions I asked. What is the name for the long sleep some animals have during the winter? And how many beats per minute does an alligator have during this time? I had this little TikTok video of this guy, kind of Texas accent, to introduce some different accents and say, answer those two questions. They may know the first one on their own. You may know that hibernation, but he also gives the answer. So it's a listening comprehension. In the video, he also says that the alligator under the water stuffs its snout out. So it's there sleeping in hibernation for a month or two. I don't know how long, but just completely still. Alligators are always still when you see them. They look fake. They just sit there with their mouth open. And in this case, of course, they're reptiles, so they're not breathing underwater. They do need to come up, and if they're hibernating in frozen water, it was pretty interesting, and you need to listen to that. But because of his accent, it was hard for a lot of my students to hear it. The answer was 3 beats per minute. And then another video of this woman, and there's the website to go to that if you want to watch it. And it says a Polish woman aged 48 achieved a Guinness World Record by standing in a box filled with ice up to her neck for 3 hours, 6 minutes, and 45 seconds. She set the record for the longest duration of full body contact with ice among females, coming close to the male record of 3 hours, 11 minutes, and 27 seconds held by another Poland resident or Polish resident. She aimed to demonstrate the strength of women and their ability to achieve their goals. So close to just getting the straight out record, she still was awarded the record for being for the female. And we watched that video and talked about it. There's even Wim Hof in there. I talk about that. We've done the Wim Hof breaths together. I've been able to increase some of my students' breathing or ability to hold their breath for twice as long. Some of them started at 45 seconds, and I've got them up to 1.5 minutes. My record right now is 3 minutes. Someday I want to get up to 5 minutes. And we've got these words: demonstrate, accomplishment, difference, and accomplish. I'll go ahead and read them, fill in the blanks. Her record-breaking accomplishment was 3 hours, 6 minutes, and 45 seconds. She aimed to demonstrate the physical and mental strength required for such an achievement. She wanted to prove that women have great strength and can accomplish their goals. What is the difference between the male and female records in this category? Then we have a pop quiz. Which one is the Polish flag? These are fun. We learned this one was the Danish flag, right, from Denmark there. This one over here is Austria, also red and white. There are some different ones. These two, again, the red, I'm not sure if it's just the picture I took or they are slightly different, but it's kind of funny. You think, what if at a time of war you were in one of these countries and the enemy saw you and you could just flip your flag around and they would think it's a different country approaching. This one is Indonesia with the red on top and white on bottom, and the red on bottom, white on top is from Poland, the Polish flag. And then go ahead. I asked my students to I was able to, again, yeah, this one, as you know, I just did it. I tried to erase this ahead of time, but that's okay. That's what we're gonna have to deal with. Um, and oh, whoa, I had that on the whole time. Oh, I should have been giving you this much bigger picture. So, which of these countries borders Poland? Again, you can answer the question, and I would like you to identify it as well as identify most of these countries. Again, we had Portugal, we had Spain, we have France, we had Germany over here, and then the next one is Poland. So there it is. It borders France, right? Italy is down here, and um, and Greece is down here, so we know it's not one of those. I'm sorry, we're talking about Poland. Poland borders Germany. And then I say, what famous American food comes from Poland? I read that a popular American snack has its beginnings in Poland. The Polish version, called kielbasa, is a type of sausage made from ground meat, usually pork or beef, mixed with spices. It's traditionally served with a bread or in a long bun. When Polish immigrants came to the United States, kielbasa evolved into the famous American what enjoyed today. A lot of them didn't know it, but they know it. Think about it. I say sausage, long bun. What could it possibly be? Of course, hot dog. The hot dog. Again, I don't think I think the hot dog is specifically an American item, but it definitely had the influence from the Polish sausage. I mean, you can still have the Polish sausage. I think it's a thicker sausage, and I don't think of the American hot dog having any spices in it, and ketchup, mustard, relish, or something like that. So, um, obvious differences, but it's interesting to learn. A lot of my students didn't realize that hamburgers and hot dogs aren't or at least they were influenced. At the very least, they were influenced. But I'd even go as far as saying they came from Poland and good old Hamburg, Germany. So here we go. The last one is the Jumpy House. I had a video here, pretty interesting. I mean, the largest one was in Dubai, Pakistan. Actually gets the world record here. I say these things are fun. I've been on some now because my son was in when he needed my help to go in them, but we didn't have these when I was growing up. They started popping up. I actually remember helping one of my friends. We actually would deliver them we were in college when they were just kind of getting big, and we'd go deliver them at houses in the morning and pick them up at night. It was always so crazy because the kids are so happy when you come there and you blow it up, and it's just like, wow, they're so excited. Of course, they're smaller, just a single Jumpy House, and then at night, some of them were tired by the time you get there, but some of them were playing, and we're in a hurry. We got like 20 of them to collect, and we're on a time schedule, and it's like, you gotta like take the air out, and they just see it, all their dreams and hopes just collapsing. Sometimes it's quite sad. So here we go. Jumbo Jump, a thrilling tourist attraction in Karachi, Pakistan, has earned the prestigious title of the world's largest inflatable castle as recognized by Guinness World Records. The bouncy wonderland measures an impressive 15,295.51 square feet and boasts exciting features like a slide, climbing walls, and enchanting castle-themed decorations. Unveiled in November, Jumbo Jump has a maximum capacity of 200 people, aiming to draw more tourists to the beautiful landscapes of Pakistan. It seized the record from Dubai's Jump X, which held the title briefly in January 2023. So I'm sure this record will just keep getting broken. I was surprised. Only 200 people? I mean, I just went to one here in outside the Central Festival, which is the like shopping mall here. They set one up for Kids Day, which was actually on my son's birthday, and like we had 200 people. There's like a tenth of this, and there's like 200 people in there. So I think you could fit like 2,000 people in something like that. Here we go. We got some words: capacity, decorations, and attraction. Go ahead, fill in the blanks before I do. Jumbo Jump is a popular tourist attraction in Karachi, Pakistan. The inflatable castle has a maximum capacity of 200 people. The castle is adorned with delightful decorations to create a magical atmosphere. And we have a pop quiz. Here we go. First, we can go either one. Which one is the country? Which is the Pakistani flag? Again, an adjective for Pakistan is Pakistani. Pakistani people, Pakistani food, Pakistani language, Pakistani flag. But under the flag, I have the name of the country. This one is Libya. This one over here is Malaysia. And this one over here is Turkey or Turkey. And this one is Pakistan. There it is, Pakistan. And then I ask them, what does that crescent moon. I like to sound like, hey, I'll tell you a clue. It has a crescent moon and a star. I ask them if they know what that means, and some of them know, some of them don't. It basically means that's an Islamic country. That is the symbol of Islam. You'll see it on a mosque. You might see it in a restaurant or somewhere else. That's what it represents. Where is Pakistan? And I asked them, where is it? And also, which of these countries borders Pakistan? Most of them knew it, but some of them didn't. And it actually, the answer is China, right? Thailand's over here. It doesn't border Thailand, and it doesn't border Nepal. Nepal is kind of enclosed where it just touches China and India. This one being India, long border there. I've been to that Indian-Pakistan border. There's always some little rivalry and changing the guards going on there, and there are some issues along this. Of course, this border along here is all the Himalayas, a lot of mountain ranges, and it's kind of difficult maybe to establish where the lines are. And I know the militants are, I mean, some of them just have like sticks. They don't even have guns. I know a couple battles in India, maybe actually in this tiny little part over there, Uttar Pradesh or something. I don't. I know there's a lot of conflict in those areas amongst all countries, all parties, and that's that. I do have a homework assignment if you want to do it. The word again, always a couple words. Big word being spontaneous. We learned simultaneous and spontaneous. Actually, simultaneous was the word today. At the same time, this one is write a story where you are the main character. Describe a time when you made a spontaneous decision or reacted in an unexpected way. Now, sometimes students have a hard time coming up with a real life scenario. So I always say share the challenges or excitement that ensued from your actions and how it impacted your life. But again, like I said, you can make it true or be creative and make up the story. I want them to have be able to, or to say, oh, it doesn't apply to me. No, make it up then, and conclude the story with a reflection on what you learned from the experience. So that's it. A little over time today. Try to keep it up to 30 minutes, but we had 37 minutes. So that's three weeks in a row. I hope I continue this as long as I'm not lazy or bored or tired. When I get to the end of my day teaching this lesson, I will continue doing it for you, but make sure you say something like, hey, I enjoy it. So I know I'm not doing it for nothing, but it's actually nice. I like keeping it for myself just as a little database. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful, I'll see you next year to any of my Chinese students there. See you in the year of the dragon next Saturday being the New Year's Day. Bye-bye.